What's up, builders? So this is a relatively straightforward RAG agent built in a tool called Voiceflow. Now imagine that we're going to build this agent for an electrician. This is Mr. Electric, Virginia Beach. And one of the things that is out of the box in Voiceflow is we can just add these knowledge bases directly from the website. So what I could do is I could just take this URL from Mr. Electric and dump it right in here and import it. So you'll see this kind of status circle that's it's thinking, and hopefully this comes through here so I can show you. There's actually a problem with this. And if we click, we can see what the chunks are. Now, the out-of-the-box scraper for Voiceflow is okay. But depending on the site, you start to look through the chunks, we see like relevant information for the company, yada, 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 this is okay. But then all these like lowercase r's start populating and it sort of becomes like more frequent. This is actually a relatively decent one, but you still do have all of these lowercase r's. And then at the very bottom, if we scroll down, so it says there's 17 chunks that are pulled down here. But if you look at like the last 3 or 4 chunks, it's just dumping URLs from the site into the bottom. And the LLMs don't have any context like of what this is. So it can't use this information to answer queries that well. And what happens is when you start adding a bunch of junk into the knowledge base, it really starts to water down the quality of your responses rather quickly. I'll show you another example. So if I was to add a data source here and type in this website, which is a garage door company, let's look at the chunks now. Look, there are R's all over the place. And there also starts stringing like review 5-star, 95.2, 95.2, 4-star, 3.6, like the LLMs can't do anything with this information that is useful. And you just start listing towns with numbers next to them. Like, what does this even mean? So what are our alternatives available to doing this? How do we gain control back of scraping websites and providing the LLMs with an easier time to digest this information and have useful chunks? That way, when you answer questions, you just get the answer like kind of nice and snappy, right? So I'm going to delete both of these out of here. So we have a blank knowledge base here. And if I click test agent and ask a question or just say hi, the chat should end because I don't have anything listed here. But so what are we going to do? What are we going to use? So I have an automation set up here that utilizes n8n and Crawl4AI. Now, why is Crawl4AI useful? There are 2 main reasons that I like it. Number 1, it is open source, which means here is the code that sits on GitHub. Run it yourself. Do whatever you want with it. No API key or subscription or anything like this. Here you go. But from a functionality standpoint, what does Crawl4AI do? Number 1, generate clean Markdown, perfect for RAG pipelines or direct ingestion into LLMs. Okay, and this is what we want to focus on and why I think this is a great use case for what we're trying to do with these agents here. So I am going to run this automation and show you what I have connected from start to finish, and then we will digest what happened, okay? So there are 3 parts to this. Number 1, I have a Voiceflow agent that has an empty knowledge base. Number 2, I have a test folder sitting in Google Drive that is empty. And number 3, I have in this second node here for this HTTP request, I have the sitemap of Mr. Electric, virginiabeach.com, which is just sitemap_pages.xml. It's a good place to start we're looking for sitemaps. So we're going to click test workflow. I'm going to watch what happens. All right, we're waiting 5 seconds. We're going through. Crawl4AI is running. Checking the status. Okay, I have an extra OpenAI node in here that I'm sending it to, and then I'm going to create a Google file. You'll see all of this here in a second. Let's just go through. I think this is 4.0, so it should take a few more seconds. I should probably drop it to 4.0 mini. I don't know if I need the extra juice here. Oh, well, thank you, Microsoft, for sending me a picture of a baby. All right, come on. I'll take a drink of water while this is running. Here we go. All right, Google Drive, boom, Voiceflow. Okay, so if we look into this test folder now and I hit refresh, I now have a new document that has been created. Mr. Electric Knowledge Base n8n Automation. Okay, boom. All right, this is great. If I actually cut this and paste from Markdown. Now look at this. Mr. Electric of Virginia Beach. About us. Contact information. Our services. And I've got this great organized documentation that goes over what this company offers, their service areas, any of their specials and coupons that are running, and the direct testimonials that the website have pulled. And look at this, FAQs, which there's a good chance that individuals coming to the website and talking to this customer-facing AI agent will have some of these same FAQs. Great to include. Got some have some blog post links in here. I'd probably end up deleting this if this got pushed live. Feel confident with Mr. Electric's licensed, bonded, and insured electricians. Okay, so this just scraped the home page. I did not scrape the full sitemap, but let's look at the second part of this automation. This is our knowledge base for our Voiceflow agent. If I hit refresh, thank you, Voiceflow, for telling us about your office hours. Boom, okay? So this Google Doc that I generated automatically got connected through the Voiceflow knowledge base API and is now live in this agent. So when I click test your agent, how can I help you today? What are your service areas? What's going on here? Let's refresh again. Didn't like that. I'm supposed to send a welcome message. There we go. Welcome, Mr. Electric. How can I help you? What are your service areas? Now it should come through with a response. Mr. Electric, Virginia Beach. Provide services to Bethel Manor, Chesapeake, Hampton, Norfolk, Pocosa, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Virginia Beach, Yorktown. Where are you located? And it gives me an address. So you can see in a matter of minutes with this automation, I've gone from a blank RAG agent to now crawling the homepage of the website, generating a Word document that is formatted nicely, and tied it into the back end of my agent. And if we click this document and look through the chunks, remember when we put the URL in there, there was like 12 chunks or 17 chunks or whatever. There's only 3 now. And all of it is super relevant information about the company. And I don't have lowercase r's and just random URLs just dropped into these chunks. It's all clean, solid, relevant information that makes the LLM's job easier in order to answer queries off of. Whew. Okay, let's dive into this n8n automation, how it works, and Crawl4AI. Okay, when clicking test workflow is the trigger off of this. First thing that it does is an HTTP GET request, and you add whatever the sitemap URL is of this. You can see from the output, it pulls all of the URLs from the sitemap here. The next thing, we are converting XML to JSON, and we do this because we are trying to isolate the individual URLs of the sitemap. And you can see here, I get a JSON object that has all of the sites here. So that's why we do this. And then we're going to split it out again. And you can see there are 63 items. So I know that this sitemap contains 63 sites. You can see the homepage here, MrElectricVirginiaBeach.com. It's the first one, which makes sense. And we have the split here based on what the input object is, which is URL set. So in order to divvy this up, we want URL set.url in order to isolate each one of these. Now I have a loop sitting over here because in case I wanted to scrape the entire sitemap at once, I could set this up. I did not do this for this particular example because I want to keep the video short and kind of straightforward here. And scraping, 63 sites with that might take a decent amount of time, and I don't want you guys to sit here and wait for it. So this is a loop in case you want to use it. Now this is where we query Crawl4AI, okay? And instead of me going through how to set up Crawl4AI in DigitalOcean using a Docker container, I'm actually just going to reference you to Cole's video that does this because I don't think I can do a better job explaining this than he can. So the link in the description will be available to you to view and go watch this video. But basically, you're setting up a web application, and because the developer of Crawl4AI has set up his own Docker container here, it's relatively straightforward for you to come in here, grab what you need from Docker, paste it into DigitalOcean, get up and running. Other thing that you're going to have to set is an environment variable so you can get your API keys. That's what this header auth is for Crawl4AI. You can see authorization. This value is going to come from the API key that you set. This URL is my web app that is now running live on DigitalOcean. And the body that we're sending here is JSON and all the URLs, right? Well, it's not all the URLs because they're split out individually one by one. You can see what the output here from this step is a task ID. And this comes from Crawl4AI docs, which is relatively straightforward. We're going to put a 5-second wait time in here. Then we're going to query the job status. So I've added the task ID on the end of the URL for the application, still using the header authorization that we set up before. And you can see now after 5 seconds running this task ID, it ended up being successful. Now let's take a look at the individual items that Crawl4AI comes back with. Now you can see the URL. This scraped the home page. It gives us the full HTML and also the cleaned HTML, which the cleaned HTML is also a decent source to use for creating this knowledge base because it gets rid of some of the styling, some of the extra tags and the attributes sitting in the actual HTML. So you could pull this. I've decided it's better to use Markdown, which I will scroll down and show you. But this also isolates each of the images that are sitting on the home page. So this is also can be potentially useful for you if you want to grab a quick way to get the individual URLs for each of the source images. Because I can just scroll down and you can see there are a decent amount of images here with the URLs. If we keep scrolling down, there's one video that's playing on here. So here's the source video. And then we've got URLs and links here. So if you want your agent to be able to reproduce these links for the customers that are querying the agent, this would be a great thing to include here. And that way you can also kind of control and add a little bit additional context to each one of these. So this organization helps us. We scroll all the way down here. Okay, Markdown. So this is actually what we're going to use and pull into our next step here. I actually take this a step further. So this true false sitting here is to check, because this might not be completed in 5 seconds. It might be status pending. So this is going to continue to loop over and over again until completed. And this extra set variable node here is to reset the task ID, because going through this if node will actually lose some of the JSON item contents. Excuse me, I didn't mean to double click there. So I need to reset this task ID, which I get here from my first HTTP request here. And this didn't highlight because this false branch actually never executed for this particular example. So it completed on the first run. Now let's go to this OpenAI. So I take this a step further. Okay, I could dump all of the markdown, and I can actually show you what this cleaned markdown looks like. Let me go back here. Let me scroll all the way down again. Where is it? Markdown. Okay. So if I copy this and I come back to this Google document here, I'll just come to a new page to make it clean. All right. You can see this is the straight markdown. So not as organized, doesn't have the headers. Actually, I wonder if I could have pasted that in Markdown with this Google Doc. But once again, not quite like perfect, because I'll tell you what I end up doing here, okay? I'm going to take this Markdown and I'm going to run it through an LLM. And that's what I do here with this OpenAI node. If we look at my prompts, I am telling the LLM I have a cleaned Markdown here. I'm building out a knowledge base in a Google Doc, and I want you to retain all of the relevant company details, add appropriate headers. And I do this because I want to have control over what the final output here. And I give it an example. It's got testimonials, contact information. So that's why that final document, when I run this automation, when I run this workflow, is so clean. And you can see that for my input here, I've got an XML tag for cleaned markdown here, JSON result markdown. I grab from, don't need media, don't need links, right here. So this is where I pull this markdown into this file. And then the output is, here's Mr. Electric of Virginia Beach, which is all of this. So this was the output from the LLM here, which is basically generating a fresh markdown document that is ready to be ingested by the knowledge base. So let's finish this up a little bit. Google Drive, I'm just setting a specific folder that I want to create this to. So I have authorization, and I'm taking message content from the OpenAI node and dropping it in. And I'm giving, I could make this file name dynamic based on what I'm pulling in, but for this particular example, I just did a hard set of Mr. Electric Knowledge Base, n8n automation. Also, I would recommend that when you create these files, always put the extension of what the document is at the end of it. And that is mainly because of what I end up doing here, which is downloading this file and sending it directly into the Voiceflow knowledge base API. And I will link a video that goes over me setting up this automation as well, because okay, I've got this Google document, right? What can I do with it? I can share it to the client, and it gives them a formatted way to understand where the queries are coming from for the agent. So that means that they can update it, they can add to it, they can delete it, they can, modify it. And what I have with this second workflow is, with a cron schedule with a certain periodicity, I can just update the document and send it right back into Voiceflow here to update what is happening on the agent in the back end. So it's a great hands-off way to give your clients the ability to manipulate the knowledge base without you having to take extra steps. Whew, my goodness. I feel like I've been talking forever. Anyways, once again, I know I did not go over like setting up Crawl4AI, but I wanted to show you the functional use of what this is. So I will paste the link to Cole's video that he walks you through step by step on how to set up this DigitalOcean web application using the Docker container from Uncle Code, which is the developer for Crawl4AI. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Talk to you all later.